Fellow distinguished Nigerians, there are strange things going on in our society today. There are absurd scenarios taking shape in our nation every day. There are felonies being committed in our countries every day without knowing. There are treacherous culture that have been subconsciously become the order of the day, of which I perceive, which stimulates the preacher to say, I had seen servants ride in chariots, while princes walk barefoot. Indeed, this matter quizzes my thinking faculty. This issue makes me feel pathetic for our nation, because the act is very abominable, yet generally acceptable. So I sigh in grief to ask these questions. To whom was the government set up for? Who are the employees and employees in the Nigerian government? Where lies the authority and powers of Nigerian government? And who actually has the right to dictate the tunes played by the Nigerians? I wonder why the horse whip is now in the hands of the servant, while the masters are frog jumping and leaping as to their servants. However, I still ask, what is actually happening in society? Are we sick in the head? Are we being enchanted, or are we being bewitched? Because how can an employee earn more and live wealthier than his employer? How can a houseboy eat the best food and dress in real apparels, while his masters in rags cry for hunger, beaten by poverty? How can a housemaid live in AC-fitted penthouses, enjoy the best things of life, while her employers, the mistress, live on the bridges and shanties, hawk under scorching sun to survive, and most times die of starvation and dehydration? How can servants drive in Range Rover Jeeps, Mercedes-Benz cars, and even flying jets, while the employees trek from street to street, begging for jobs and begging for money to feed? And yet we keep mute and call that a normal thing. We even say it's just one of those things. What a shame. What a sacrilege. An abomination is being committed amongst us. For the true order of life has been overridden by false order of life. By the way, what are we thinking? What are we doing? I seriously think that we are not thinking straight. And I'm certain that we need to reprogram our thinking faculty, as well as restructuring our mentality, because it is obviously thoughtful that our thoughts are contaminated and corrupted, and that our eyes are blinded from the truth on ground. Because how do we elucidate a public servant that is employed in the office by the masses via election, who amend the laws of Nigeria in favor of his or her cause to enrich himself, who dwells in executive penthouses and moves in the entourage of executive cars and are profoundly being treated as royalty, while the masses are crushed and oppressed by the same laws, live in abundant penuries, destitute, abused and raped of the right, and bound, slaughtered, and abandoned like street rats. Yet we sit back and murmur in silence to say, it go better one day. Beloved fellow Nigerians, the phrase "it go better one day" is a consolation for ourselves in cowardice and ignorance, compound with slavish mentality. How do we describe the scenario where a state servant that is explicitly employed by the masses is being treated with utmost impotence, heavily guarded, flown abroad for treatment in the best hospital, school, and the world-class institution, and enjoying the best things of life with ease, while the masses, who are the true employer of these public servants, are deprived from good health care, destitute of good education, live in total blackout communities, strive to eat once per day, handicapped of good houses and shelter, struggle and suffer to survive, disgustfully abused, assaulted and molested by their chosen ones. Yet we fold our hands and condemn this mischievous act in our bedrooms, house corners, and beer parlors. Who we ever believe that we employ these servants into government? Who we ever believe that they represent us in all levels of government? Who we ever believe us when we say the government belongs to us? This is terrible. If we don't officially and legally act against this treacherous act that had enslaved our fathers and mothers and even this present generation to the extent of slaughtering innocent Nigerians on the altar of corruption and indecency, to the extent of turning dignified citizens into corporate beggars and refugees in their own promised land. The point is, since we officially and legally employed them into offices, we must, as a matter of necessity, legally and socially, put them right. And whoever refuses to yield shall be disarmed and stripped of the office. There's no doubt that politics and government is everybody's business. It is, however, brutish and foolish for any man to think that politics is meant for some secluded people. It is, however, disgraceful and degrading for a man to shy away from politics and government matters, because politics is the engine room that powers and drives the nation's economy to her boom or to her doom. Politics is a porterhouse where the destinies of nations are fashioned and molded. Just like President Theodore Roosevelt rightly said, that the people who says that they have no time to attend to politics are simply saying that they are unfit to live in a free community. Though voting is crucial, but it is the least political duty of any man. For every man must devote a reasonable share of his time to doing his duty in the political life of the community where he lives. And no man has a right to devoid his political duties under whatsoever plea or pleasure of business. These words were emphatically spoken by Theodore Roosevelt because he empirically knew too well that politics is the determinant force in the health sector, business sector, media sector, food sector, educational sector, and security sector in any developed and developing nation. And if politics is left in the hands of the few, it will be hijacked by the few, corrupt by the few, and used as a weapon of mass oppression by the few. Therefore, with whatsoever profession we find ourselves, let us use it as a tool to transform our nation into a better place. That we change and make Nigeria a better place for all Nigerians. Long live Nigerians, and long live our father and our motherland. God bless you.